So I have a long drive ahead of me, and I felt this would then be a good time to share some thoughts I had on Tamontez Hurt. Again, he is missing out of Kansas City, Missouri. He has been missing for approximately 2.5 months. I do have a video that walks directly through the entire story, which is just, for many, would probably be just out of another world. I did put a sort of a plea out there for family, or a close loved one or a close friend to the family to reach out to me, as I wanted to get some answers to some questions I had. I have not yet heard from anyone, so some things I'm going to reserve in the event I am able to talk to them, and I don't mean that I have to publicly interview them. I just wanted to kind of find out if certain things have been answered yet or not, in an effort to help. So at this point, I would like to kind of focus on I have really good reason for some of the places that I think would be prudent to direct search efforts. So if someone sees this, because I know there are other people that are coordinating search efforts. There was just one yesterday again. The number one suggestion I do have is to ensure that a flyer is in truck stops. Many truck stop restaurant facilities where truckers are able to shower and get their food. I would highly advise getting that and using truckers as a resource. And my thought process behind that is Kansas City, Missouri borders another state. He also has ties to Nashville, St. Louis. If he wanted to hitchhike to try to get home, whether it's to Nashville, to his grandmother's, and I could be wrong on the Nashville, I know it's Tennessee. I don't have my notes in front of me. So if he were to do that, a lot of people would lean on maybe hitchhiking with a trucker who is going to be utilizing one of the expressways. So I would lean in on trucking organizations, making sure that they have flyers, emailing copies of the flyers. They could maybe email it out to the truckers, as well as making sure that it is posted in truck stop restaurants, the ones that have showering facilities. He could potentially hitchhike using more than one, depending on the direction a trucker is going. So that is the number one place I think should be looked at as far as getting some reach, and I would do so for places that are in Missouri, Tennessee, Kansas, maybe even southern Minnesota, southwest Wisconsin, and so that's number one. So we don't know what happened here. We don't know if he was exposed to a substance he wasn't expecting, something was tampered or laced. We don't know if there was mental outbreak of some kind, mental illness can surface in adulthood, and you may have never seen a sign before, and something can trigger that, whether it is witnessing maybe a life event that to most people wouldn't be super significant, but it triggered a memory, a trauma, or a thought process that might have sent somebody into a place of psychosis or mania. And if that is the case, he would need stabilization, in a hospital, which St. Luke should have recognized that possibility, knowing that Grandma was willing to leave and come get him if he could just be there a few more hours. And it is possible that you should check with jails, and I say that because if someone is in a state of mania that they never experienced, or a state of psychosis, there's fear, there's paranoia, and there might be some behavior that takes place that might cause them to get arrested, no matter how minor. And if they were arrested, so maybe searching, contacting police departments, sheriff departments, as well as if he is not listed on NamUs, that's N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, M as in Mary, U as in unicorn, S as in Sam, he absolutely needs to be put on NamUs. That is a national database for missing persons, accessible by the public and law enforcement all across the country. You, as a family member, can enter him in there yourself. You will need the case number or report number to get him entered. This is something that is overlooked in multiple cases that I am looking at right now, and I don't know why people are not directly told by law enforcement to get their loved one on that list. Beyond me. So I would check though, because you know, if something happened and he was arrested, even if it was something as small as loitering or something in another town, there are mechanisms in place. I don't care what you were told. There are mechanisms in place. If it is in the state of Missouri, I cannot speak if it was Tennessee or Kansas. There are mechanisms in place in the state of Missouri that you, grandmother, and one other person could complete affidavits and go in front of a court to have him committed involuntarily until they see fit, which could be a week, 10 days, but at least he gets crisis stabilization. If there was something in his system, maybe it's still traceable, because we don't know if that's the case. So that is definitely something to be looked at. Homeless encampments are something to look at. The darker world of maybe Kansas City, in case he got tied in with the wrong people, or he just needed a place to crash. But I would absolutely be looking to expand outside of the city limits and not just stay focused there. Because if he doesn't have a lot of ties to that area, at some point he is probably going to try to get to somewhere known. As well, it would be good and helpful to know if his social media accounts have been able to be accessed yet. Also, I was unable to find out if in fact his phone has been collected and was ever retrieved from the cab company. I've seen various things online, but I don't like to assume anything, and I don't really know how they could refuse to turn that over to law enforcement. That wouldn't make sense to me. Additionally, if you walked 72 blocks, where was that ending point? And were there no longer cameras beyond that point? And then lastly, and I'm just trying to summarize for now to kind of get a head start out there. Lastly, I would look at what happened prior to 3 a.m. on the 1st. All of the events, everybody that was seen. There's the girl, obviously, that he did go on a date with and to the movies and such, is my understanding. But that was not, if I'm understanding correctly, that was not the only person that he made contact with while he was in Kansas City. So I believe firmly in starting before, looking after, and not just directly at that window, because it's very easy to get stuck looking at just that. But everything leading up to that moment is really important. So that is a summary of some of my suggestions and thoughts on where to potentially expand the search efforts. And additionally, if there are anybody in any of these communities where family is, and Kansas City, where it happened, St. Louis, where the grandmother is, I believe the mother is in Tennessee. I hope these communities come together, because it would be great if they could get a very qualified private investigator involved, possibly an attorney, to help them get what is needed from law enforcement that they've not been able to get yet to review. I also would add, as I've seen a lot of other people, if you believe you have seen him, try to take a photo without being so conspicuous, so that a loved one can verify it is actually him. But call law enforcement immediately. Don't wait a day, 2 days, 3 days. Make note of where it was and call law enforcement. But you have to realize he had red in his hair. It's gonna be faded. It's been a long time. So I've seen people say, well, I think, I could have seen him, but, it looked more like almost a pink or a faded. Well, it could be faded. It's been a long time. He may not be wearing the same clothes. If he is, they might be dirty. We don't know. So it's important. And he has a tattoo. I believe it says Mike's World. There's a lot of great photos of him that are online, easily able to be found. So I encourage you to try to get this information to people that are conducting searches or are able to possibly get this family some help in those areas. to truck stops and truckers. I believe that could be a really, really good resource, and canvassing homeless encampments and unfortunately some of the darker places. So that is a summary of what I have for you today. I will continue to keep Tamanta's hurt and his family in my prayers, and we will continue to stay on this case. I really believe with my whole self he is out there alive. I don't know if he's well, not that I think he's physically hurt, but there could be a condition that is set in, whether it was induced by something that he consumed that he wasn't aware of, or whether it is, some kind of a break. We just don't know. But this is such a hopeful case to me. I really believe he's out there and he can be found. So again, I implore everyone to do anything they can to spread the word, so this young man can be returned to his family, get whatever help he needs to get through this, and he can get back to college and have a bright future. So that's what I have for you on the Tamanta's hurt case. Let's bring this young man home. Have a great day.